Thank you for joining us for another episode of Mining or Business. This program takes a critical look at the mineral sector and its key players. I'm Khadija Lewis.
And I am Mikhail Johnson. Today, we will speak with Ms. Yolanda Drakapolous, General Manager of the Jamaica Bauxite Institute. She will detail the various roles and functions of the JBI and how it continues to contribute to Jamaica's mineral sector.
Ms. Drakapolous, thank you so much for joining us. So, please tell us and our viewers about the roles and functions.
Okay, the Jamaica Bauxite Institute was set up in 1976 primarily as a research institute, but also to facilitate the bauxite industry, to assist the various arms of government in negotiations with bauxite companies to ensure that Jamaica gets the best return on the investment in the mining sector. We also play a monitoring role for the industry where we try to ensure that environmental impacts are mitigated wherever possible, that we do the least damage. Mining is an extractive industry, there's no way around that, but that we do the least damage possible. That's our main function.
Okay, good. Now, the JBI has been around for nearly 50 years. I'm sure the Institute has seen it all. I'm sure that there has been a lot of work done in terms of projects and so forth. But on the way forward, what are the current projects that the JBI is currently working on?
Well, as I said before, we're primarily a research institute. However, we are now in a phase where we want to ensure that we have more collaboration with other entities, with tertiary institutions, high schools. So the research forms now a part of our public education program. It's applied research, so we are also assisting the industry with processing challenges, for example, and we do exploration on their behalf as well. But at this sort of mature stage in our development, we really want to be sharing as much of the information that we have gathered over the many years. In our everyday lives, we're using resources. All these resources come from the earth. So one of the things we do at the JBI, our stewardship of the environment to ensure we do the least damage, but the fact is we have to consume resources for our survival. Our research at the JBI is now focused on things like rare earth elements, where we're looking at innovative ways of extracting these elements from our bauxite residue. We're in the process of getting ISO certification for some of our processes, and ensuring that we continue to maintain this high standard of research going forward.
Okay, so thank you. That was quite comprehensive. There's one thing I want to really zone in on. You spoke about collaboration earlier. And interestingly, in recent times, the JBI has been merged with the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. Now, some people would say those are polar opposites, but can you explain to us the functionality of this merger and the benefits?
Well, it's not as far-fetched as it may sound. The fact is, bauxite mining and agriculture both require vast acreages of land. So we try to ensure that the lands are properly managed before and after mining. Once the lands are mined out, we also ensure that they're properly rehabilitated, restored to productive use. So the natural sequence of events, once we're finished mining, land is restored, it goes into agriculture. It could be simple as pasture, for pasture land, or it could be into crops. More recently, in the more recent past, we have been developing greenhouse farming techniques where we use mined out bauxite pits as water harvesting catchments. And around those catchment areas now are a number of greenhouses in clusters where they use this water for irrigation of their greenhouses. It's a closed circuit where water is pumped from the harvesting areas into tanks, which then feed the greenhouses. And the produce from these greenhouses, they are marketed as a cooperative. Our greenhouse farming has been very successful in producing crops of a very high standard. it's also allowing us to do some climate adaptation. We're not dependent on the vagaries of the weather for our farmers to be able to produce their crops because it's in a restricted environment where we can control.
Bauxite, as we know, is a finite product. The sector won't be with us forever, such as born phrases such as life after bauxite. But could you explain to us why is this concept necessary? What do we mean by life after bauxite in the Jamaican context?
Mining, by and large, is done in rural Jamaica. The economy in those areas basically is dependent on subsistence farming. Once mining comes into an area, normally you see a little uptick in terms of the economy. But mining, as you said, is finite. So at some point they'll be moving on. What we don't want to see is that those areas then descend into poverty. We want to give them as many economic opportunities after mining. So whether it be in the form of training or providing them with a startup in terms of whatever agriculture pursuit they want to follow. The slogan, Life After Bauxite, was really developed under the Bauxite Community Development Program, which was set up to assist rural areas with some form of training or startups in agriculture to give them economic opportunities after mining has ceased in those areas.
So thank you very much, Mr. Drakapolous, for that detailed explanation. But I see and I hear that JBI is doing a lot, but how does the average man, the farmers in these areas, how do they access these programs?
In each bauxite community, so those communities which are impacted by mining, by refining, those in proximity to railway lines or ports, those are all our bauxite communities. And in each one of these areas, we have a community council made up of members of the community, the bauxite companies, the government stakeholders such as JBI and the Mines and Geology Division. And these councils meet once per month. In this forum, the local communities have an opportunity to bring whatever problems they may be having or experiencing in the mining areas. They can bring ideas for projects that they see that could benefit their community. So it's a very needs-based assessment driven by the local community to see what assistance that we can provide for them through the BCDP so that we can say there is life after bauxite.
You spoke about the government stakeholders such as the MGD, but is there an opportunity for private stakeholders to get involved and get on board?
There certainly is. We have collaborations with other entities such as JSIF, for example, who partnered with us in our greenhouse farming projects through the World Bank. We often call on RADA for assistance, so from our parent ministry. RADA is one of our partners. We have partnered with Nutramix in a very successful poultry farming project. We have also had assistance from Digicel Foundation on some of our projects. So yes, there is always room for public partnerships once they have that interest in seeing our bauxite communities flourish.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, Ms. Drakapolous. I'm sure that our viewers have learned so much more about the JBI, and we certainly look forward to what the JBI has in store as we continue on this quest to further develop our mineral sector.
Thank you for watching us. Join us again next time as we interview another major player in the mineral sector. Stay tuned.